Chapter 9. Samara's tears continued to flow as she remained on her knees, feeling the weight of her loss pressing down on her chest. The pain in her heart seemed to grow with each passing moment as memories of happier times flooded her mind. She tried to hold back the sobs that threatened to escape her lips, but the grief was too overwhelming. Slowly, she lifted her head and gazed at the empty room before her, the silence echoing the emptiness she felt inside. The realization that she would never see her loved ones again hit her like a ton of bricks, leaving her feeling utterly alone in the world. The thought of facing each day without their presence was almost unbearable, but she knew she had to find the strength to carry on. With a heavy heart, Samara whispered to herself, "I will never forget you. I will keep your memory alive in my heart, no matter how painful it may be." The weight of her promise settled on her shoulders like a burden, but she knew she had to honor the legacy of those she had lost. As she took a deep breath and prepared to step through the door into an uncertain future, she knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges and sorrow, but she was determined to persevere, for their sake. As she slowly stood up from the ground, she could feel the coolness of the floor against her palms. Determined, she began making her way towards the office room, located at the rear of the house. The journey seemed longer than usual, each step echoing in the silence of the hallway. Finally, she reached the door and her hand instinctively reached out for the doorknob. As her fingers wrapped around it, a surge of uncertainty washed over her. She hesitated for a moment, her mind filled with a whirlwind of thoughts. What mysteries awaited her inside? With a deep breath, she steeled herself for whatever lay beyond that door. In that brief pause, her mind wandered, seeking guidance from her father who was no longer there. She silently whispered her thoughts, hoping that somehow he could hear her plea. "Father, help me navigate through this strange and unfamiliar world that surrounds me." With a mix of determination and vulnerability, she turned the doorknob, readying herself to step into the unknown, ready to face whatever awaited her in the office room. As Samara turned the knob, the door creaked open, revealing a whole new world waiting to be explored. Stepping through the doorway, she found herself surrounded by a mesmerizing sight. A large world map adorned the wall, covered in a tapestry of red pins, each representing a place her dad had ventured to during her upbringing. But what caught her attention were the peculiar creatures attached to each pin. The map was like a portal into a realm of fantasy and folklore. Samara's eyes widened with wonder as she examined the pins one by one. Germany, with its rich history and legends, had a pin adorned with a miniature werewolf figurine. Its fierce eyes seemed to follow her every move, as if guarding the memories of her dad's adventures. Romania, known for its association with vampires, had a pin with a tiny vampire figurine, its fangs gleaming ominously. Moving her gaze across the map, Samara's curiosity led her to Las Vegas. The pin representing this vibrant city was accompanied by a miniature zombie figurine. Its decaying flesh and vacant stare sent shivers down her spine, reminding her of the eerie allure of the city's nightlife. Finally, her eyes settled on New Orleans, a place steeped in mysticism and supernatural tales. The pin for this enchanting city held a list of supernatural beings, including witches, werewolves, and vampires. It was as if the map itself was a gateway to a world where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blurred. Samara couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and excitement, eager to embark on her own adventures and add new pins to the map. As she shifted her gaze to the right, a chill ran down her spine when she laid eyes on the shelf filled with books detailing how to confront and combat various supernatural entities. The titles ranged from werewolves to vampires, each cover more ominous than the last. The realization that her world was not as ordinary as she once believed began to sink in, sending shivers of fear through her body. Her heart raced as she tore her eyes away from the unsettling collection of books and turned her attention to her father's desk. There, sitting innocuously among the clutter, was a weathered journal that seemed to beckon to her. With trembling hands, she approached the desk and gingerly picked up the journal, feeling a sense of foreboding wash over her. What secrets lay within those pages? What dark truths about her family's past were waiting to be uncovered? Taking a deep breath, she settled into the chair and opened the journal, the pages crackling with age beneath her touch. As she began to read, her worst fears were confirmed. Her family had a long history of encounters with the supernatural, and her father had been keeping detailed accounts of their experiences. The more she read, the more she realized that her life would never be the same again. The monsters that lurked in the shadows were real, and they were closer than she ever could have imagined. In the depths of her contemplation, she marveled at the newfound significance of the room that had been shrouded in secrecy. It had now become a sanctuary of enlightenment, a realm where the mysteries of the supernatural world were unveiled. The realization of her father's efforts to keep this knowledge hidden from her only deepened her appreciation for the vastness of this realm. With a heartfelt gratitude, she acknowledged her father's role in granting her access to this world of wisdom. "Thank you, Dad," she murmured, her voice filled with a mix of awe and appreciation.